So even though I own and drive a couple of Toyotas, I've always made it a practice to try to never work on them. Back when I had the first early Toyotas, I did things like exhaust pipes and rust repair and stuff like that on some of those Camrys and things, but never anything much more than that. And that pretty much goes for any newish car. I don't, I'm just, I work on a Model A or a Model T or 32 Studebaker, but these things here, they're like, nah, I don't think I want to mess with them. Well, that changed. A fella I go to church with got ran off the road and crashed his Prius and broke a lot of parts. And he bought a lot of parts, and he asked me if I could put them all on there and fix it, put it together for him. Now this is parts for a Prius. This is a piece of plastic. And this is a piece of plastic. And these are pieces of plastic. And yeah, I'm not used to working on cars that are made out of plastic, but I guess that's what you got to work with nowadays, so that's what we got. So what else we got is this here. He hit something and it pushed his radiator way up in there. You see the angle that radiator is sitting at? Well, that's not the angle it's supposed to be sitting at. And so there's a little mud caked in behind his bumper and stuff like that. So I'm going to be taking all of this off. I'm going to take this piece that goes across here that this radiator and all is held by off. I got a new piece over there that goes on it. And I don't know what I'm doing. And I'm the first one to admit that I don't know what I'm doing on this here Prius. In fact, back when I was a kid, they used to give us, we could take typing class in high school. Because back then, typing was a skill that you might need in your work. And we had those old manual typewriters that you had to hit them really hard, and had to have strong finger strength and all this stuff. And we used to call people who couldn't type, they were hunt and peckers. They hunt for the key and then peck it. That's how they type with one finger. They hunt for the letter and peck that key and then peck that key. They taught us to be real typists instead of hunt and peckers. Well, I'm kind of a hunt and pecker when it comes to this car, because I don't know what I'm doing. He tells me, and he showed me yesterday, that a lot of the things that hold this car together is just little plastic pins that you just pull them out. And so I'm going to start the process of figuring out how to do that. I got to get both these headlights off and get this part off and get this part off and take the rest of this thing off and get this bumper thing off. And I hope once I get all those pieces off that I'll be able to recognize how everything goes back together. Now, when I was looking on YouTube, I didn't find anywhere where anybody did a video of how to replace this part, which is basically what I need to do. And this part holds up a lot of other parts. So, but this part is bent, and it connects to the bumpers here. And it's not supposed to be bent like it is right here. So, and I think it may be, like I may have to cut this metal and re-weld or screw it in place or something. So I absolutely don't know what I'm doing. But I'm going to give it a good shot, because this fella that I'm fixing it for, he's a good ag and he works for a living. He's busy. When you're retired and you got a little time, it's nice to be able to help somebody else out who doesn't have time, because if you work, if you've got a real job and you have to work, it is hard to get time to work on your own stuff. So give me a chance to bless him in a way if I can do that. So that's the job. I am not going to set the camera up and let you watch me crawling around pulling out pins. I'm probably going to bring you back in a little while and show you what I did and maybe explain how to do it. And after I finish this, and I know how, because right now I don't even know how to tell anybody how to do what I'm about to do, but I think once I finish it, I will make a video about how to replace all this stuff that I just replaced. But I'll try to make, if I'm making, I don't make very many how-to videos, but if I'm going to make one, I try to make one that's kind of succinct. Because usually if somebody's watching a how-to video, they don't want to spend 5 minutes listening to me introduce a video, which is what I just did. They want to see, just come in there, show me how to do it, and let me get out of there. So, but you guys, many of you guys watch me every day. Some of you are like me, you're retired, you got the time, you don't mind listening to me yammer away about what I'm up to. So I appreciate y'all. Appreciate you hanging out with me, messaging me, telling me what you think and all that. Anyway, that's what I'm up to right now. I did go out on the lake this morning. It was a kind of an odd sky. The sun, it was cloudy and the sun was behind the clouds, but it kind of made for some interesting visual effects. So it's kind of nice to get out there and do that. But now the sun's broken out and it's not hot or anything, but it is quite a beautiful day with sunshine. So pretty good day to be doing this. So without further ado, I'll get on to it and we'll talk more later. Love y'all. Appreciate you. Glad you came to hang out with me, and I'll catch up with you in a few minutes. Bye. I'm hunting and pecking right now. Where's that button? Okay, I've gotten a big pile of rubber pulled off the front of the car, and I'm beginning to be able to tell a little bit about what I'm going to have to do. Now, this is the new piece here. And if you notice these arms here, well, they'll go where these arms right here are, and they're going to need to be spot welded. There's a spot right there that's where that will weld to. And these little inside finger things will go in here. If you look, you can see over there where that touches that bumper part that sticks out, but it's all pushed back, whereas here it's all straight. And this is where the radiator and the condenser sits for the air conditioner. So what I'm about to do is cut out this part here and cut the parts there that connect on either side of that bumper. I'm going to take this off. That's a horn. Take the hood latch off. Probably take that bar off that runs up and down there. It looks like there might be another horn right there. This radiator, actually this radiator has fluid in it. He was commenting on this radiator bent in the wreck, but it never lost its fluid. So I'm going to need to drain the fluid out of the radiator and get that condenser off of there and get everything that connects to this bar off of this bar, including this piece right here. And he said this piece right here is heavy and it sits, this piece holds that up, so I'm going to have to tie that up or prop that up or something when I disconnect that. So that's my task. I'll try to get a shot of that as opposed to that, which is all bent in. And I've seen pictures where they've taken the bumper off, but I'm not sure. I think they might take the bumper off. I think the bumper may be made to the frame, but there's bolts inside of here. Yeah, I think that's where my bolts are going to be, so that I can pull this bar off the bumper but leave these bumper rails, which will make it a lot easier. So I think I'm going to do that next. I'm also thinking about what parts I don't have to pull off. For example, I was getting ready to pull this thing here off, but I may not need to, as long as I can reattach this without setting something like that on fire. I may can leave that in there. That little water bottle for the windshield wipers will have to be disconnected, but maybe I can kind of push it up in there and leave it. So I'm going to cut the camera off again and go back to dismantling more stuff. I think the next thing to happen would be this bumper would need to come off. Okay, that takes the bumper off of there, which makes it a little easier to see what we have to work with here. I think the next thing I'm going to do, well, probably I ought to get under there and drain the antifreeze out of that radiator. And then I could take off these horns and this hood latch, and I'm guessing that bar will bolt onto that piece over there. We may have a new one of those. I'm going to turn the camera off again while I loosen up a few more things here. So in my case, the bottom of the piece that goes under the radiator was bent so that it was facing the back, and the metal in the back was bent like this so that you couldn't get in between it. And I had to stick a prise bar up in there and prise that out so that I could get a wrench on that to get it down. Now this next piece of metal over here, it kind of goes up behind the tire. I got everything loose from it, but it was still bolted up in here, and that bolt is well, I had to jack the car up a little bit and then get over in here with a flashlight. And can you see that bolt right there? Now I might could have gotten it from in here. Yeah, I could have. Because this thing here was in the way, it kind of blocked me from being able to see that. But that bolt right in there's got to come out, and that's a 10 millimeter. And actually from this angle, I should be able to get a long-ish extension and reach up in there. I think I've got one handy by. So I probably wouldn't have had to actually jack that up to get to it. I haven't yet taken this skirt out. That's not a 10 millimeter, that's a 12 millimeter, which I use for the bumpers. I think I can get in there with this thing. Oh, the joy. It's taken me longer than I thought it would have, and this stuff has been tougher to get out. It's strong enough where you can't really rip it out, and the bolts are kind of hard to get to, especially if you don't know where they are. There's probably some videos on YouTube. See that let that come down there. There's probably some videos on YouTube, and I'm not sure. See, this piece is still hanging down here, but I'm not sure if he's bought the piece to replace that with, so I don't want to pull that out yet. Although I'm betting he has. This one's pretty wore out. But I don't want to, like I said, I don't want to be ripping out any pieces that he's not. He's got several boxes of stuff that he's bought, and I don't want to be tearing something out that he won't have to replace it with later. So I'm going to try to just leave that one there. But this piece, that's out of there now. That's the piece. Now this actually goes, the tire goes here, the engine bay is in here, and this goes kind of underneath the motor here. It's going in the pile. We got a pretty good little pile of stuff so far, and we're making progress. Oh, the joy.